everybody. Welcome back. I feel like, Ted, that this has been the thought-provoking series, like in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Control, self-esteem, surviving versus or thriving versus just surviving. And today, I asked you what you're seeing a lot in your world, and you realize that people are misplacing energy in a lot of ways. So why don't you explain in your words what you're seeing and wanted to bring to everybody?
Yeah, I like how you frame it up that like the series that we're in right now, you and I, with this. I'm hoping everybody sees they're obviously interconnected. I
Yes.
mean, week to week, there's some overlap in what we're talking about. They are definitely interconnected, and today is really no different. What I would say is there's an imbalance of where I think people believe they need to put their time, and some of it has to do with the topics that we talked about, right? Self-esteem, survive versus thrive. Um, and when I frame this stuff up, the easiest thing is to talk about myself because that's the experience. But then I try to bring it out to the people that I work with.
Yeah.
The imbalance of where we believe we should spend our time is simply this: is that, and there is a lot of writing about this, and people have talked about this again. Um, I fell victim to believing that I needed to spend the majority of my time to be a successful business person, to be a good husband, to be a good father, to be a good friend, in filling the gaps of my weaknesses, right? Or constantly trying to learn something new that was going to enhance me as a business person or whatever, versus settling into a couple things. One, settling into my innate gifts, because we all have them. Have we identified them? I mean, sometimes because of the self-esteem and things we've talked about in the last 3 weeks, we haven't even identified those things. And then secondly, we've all acquired a lot of stuff over the years, like a lot. What's interesting is when I reflect back on this, and I know you'll have something to say about this, because you and I have had conversations about these people that get into writing, right, a little bit later in life, and they feel like now they can't use anything that they have acquired. And
Yep.
I was a bartender through grad school. I learned the gift of making somebody feel at home
Mm,
and being engaged in conversation. Like, it goes back to me. My experience goes back to bartending,
yeah.
right? I know you were in hospitality. You've
Yeah.
learned some things at your trans. Anyway, here's what I'd say. There was a pivot for me, I would say 12 or 13 years ago, where all the noise in my head, my own self-esteem issues, had me trapped in this whole, I'm going to fill weaknesses and learn something new. Fill weaknesses and learn something new. That was where I was putting the majority of my energy and time into, right? That runs its course, and it definitely doesn't play on the psyche. You know what's missing there? The belief in self.
Yes. I was going to say that. Yes.
It well, that just drives all of it, right? It's the belief in self. And so when you and I talked about this a little bit, I've been told for 12, 13 years, probably dating back further than that, because the CEO that I worked with told me, if you never understand technology, you're not going to be able to do what you want to do. And everybody still to this day, bang, you got to get on technology, you got to get on the social networks. Why aren't you TikToking and body rocking and all that other stuff? And guess what? I'm not going into it. I'm not going to get into it. I used to put a lot of energy into reading about that stuff, understanding it, and now I'm just simply not. But what I am doing is doubling down on the things that I'm convicted in, to bring that word conviction back from last week. I'm convicted that I'm pretty damn good at certain things.
Mhm.
Now, this is going to go to the antithesis and take us to the deeper end of the pool, I think, and I hope. We have done so much work on, and you and I have talked about it in the last couple of weeks, self-esteem.
Mhm.
We need to do equally as much work at getting to the place to say, I'm good.
Mhm.
Right? There are things that I am very good at, and I denied that because why? I didn't want to seem egotistical. I didn't want to seem da-da-da. No, we need to be able to sing loud and proud without ego or cockiness. That's not what I'm saying. But we need to settle in, and we need to do the work around get to the place of going, I've done my work. I'm really freaking good,
Mhm.
and being convicted in that. And so I just want people to start thinking about, where are they? And by the way, and I said to you before, I want to be careful here. I don't want people, of course, you should be settling into your weaknesses, right? And trying to minimize them. You don't want them to create chaos in your life.
Yeah.
But you surely don't need to turn a weakness into a strength to be successful. You surely don't turn a weakness into a strength to be a good person or be a good companion to somebody.
Yes.
So I want people to look at this. Where are you putting it? So, and learning something new, of course you need to learn something new. Mm-hmm. But AWAI, for example, you come in, you don't need to take 5 courses at once to prove that you're going to be able to be a good writer. Mm-hmm. But that's what we do. We start saying, I have to constantly be filling my brain with something new. And then, quite frankly, I find that it gets a little bit cloudy.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't want to belabor the point, but that's what we're talking about here today, is that there's this, for me, I just call it an imbalance of where we're putting our time and energy. And I will tell you definitively, when I switched the balance, success came not so far behind it.
Well, because I feel like, so for you to be able to say no when everybody's telling you to do this technology or whatever, it's a conviction in self and knowing what's right for you, right? And I think so often when we're starting something new, we feel like the person that we are is not good enough, and there's almost like a loathing there. So there's a desire to start completely new, because this person that I'm going to build over here is going to be good enough for that job, because the one that is over here is not good enough for it, right?
Yeah.
And whereas it's a shift, right? So when you shift something, there's going to be some stuff that's left behind, but there's an awful lot that you should be taking with you and that carries over. And sometimes that is like skills and traits that are not like obvious, like being able to balance the books, right? But it can be meticulous, and I'm organized, and I have attention to detail, right? So then those come over, and those become the benefits and things that can work for you over here. I'll never forget a conversation, and I think you know him, with Patrick Beauvais years ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember. And I was a dinner conversation when I was saying, like, what were you doing before? Because he's, if anybody that doesn't know him, financial copywriter. And he said he used to work in horse racing, and he used to create something which educated people on like which horses they should be betting on and things like that. And he's like, so I have no idea how I got into financial copywriting. And I said, well, you clearly like to make people money, right? Like that's the shift, right? So you can't see it sometimes yourself, but there's certain traits that will serve you well in whatever you're trying to do over here that carry on with you. And like I said, like Ted said, I think it takes awareness and some time to like stop and acknowledge, what am I really good at, and pat yourself on the back for those. Add those, and sometimes it takes asking other people as well. That's okay as well. But yeah, don't think that you need to abandon what was, and don't think what was is not good enough for what you want and what is and what you want to be.
Yeah.
So my next question, Ted. So what should people think about, take away, work on this week? Or is it just simply that list of what you are good at?
Well, again, I think if we were going to put a theme on the last 3 or 4 weeks, we're talking about the homework all is around awareness. This is all about people just slowing down and going, okay, so we brought up control, we brought up self-esteem, we brought up these and they're big topics, by the way. They're not, 10-minute topics.
Yeah.
This idea here is bringing awareness into, where are you putting your energy and time? Are you putting it into just mitigating your weaknesses, or are you really settled into, have you ever slowed down and said, I'm really good at X?
Yep.
How am I applying those strengths? Right. So I think this is about an awareness. So really, where are you putting your time and energy? Is it out of balance is where I want people to bring. For most people, I think, in my experience in this line of work, people are in a misbalance, and even in their personal lives, by the way.
Yeah. 100%. A lot to think about over the last few weeks, everybody. Ted, thank you so much for your generosity of knowledge and willingness to share your own personal experiences. It really, I think, enriches these and paints the full picture for people to be able to do the work on themselves. So thank you to you and everybody listening. We'll see you soon. Bye, guys.
See you guys. Take care.